My daughter recently got into vinyl records and wanted an easy way to display the artwork. So in this project, I'm going to show you how I created simple floating shelves without any fancy tools or doweling. I'm Peter and I build projects. I wanted the shelf to be a little bit bigger than the typical LP record sleeve, so I decided 14 inches would be a good size. And I'm going to be using standard small boards that are 3/4 by 1.5 inches. I'll mark it at 14 inches over. And then cut it down with my miter saw, but this could be done with a hand saw. It's pretty basic. I'm going to use a 3/4 inch by 1/4 inch piece of trim for the front of the shelf, and I'll use the width of that to give me an even reveal all the way around. I want the trim piece to fit inside here, so I'll go ahead and mark the width and cut it down to size. 1/4 inch reveal all the way around is the simplest way to do this. I consider other options. I could have had the ends overlap and extend out 1/4 inch on each side. Or if I really wanted to get fancy, I could have mitered the corners and matched it up like a typical shelf that was finished on all 3 sides. But I wanted these to be easy to put up and take down, so I'm just going with my original idea. I want to screw the shelf into the studs in the wall, so I've got to have a way to find those. The problem with finding studs in a wall is that they're covered in drywall. Oh no, I can't see it. So you could either punch a bunch of holes in the wall looking for it, or you could use a stud finder. You simply press the button, and when you slide it over, it'll beep when it detects a solid object behind the wall. And this indicates I've hit the side of a stud, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Then I'll come from the opposite direction until the beep starts right here, and I'll go ahead and mark that. And in between my 2 lines, there's the stud. I'm going to take a level to draw a horizontal line where I want the shelf. And now I'll use the stud finder. Hopefully I can find a stud on both sides. Okay, so there's one to the right. And then there's one to the left of this. Perfect. Go ahead and get the measurements where the 2 studs are. I'm going to mark the stud locations on my shelf. And I'm going to countersink the screws into the wood at these points, so I'll outline it. That way I know the hole has to be at least that size. I'm going to use 2 different size drill bits. The first will be wide enough to get the threads through, and then the larger drill bit will be big enough to actually bury the head of the screw and countersink it. I'm going to drill the larger holes first, and I'm using a drill press, but of course this could be done with any portable drill. Size looks good, so I'll go ahead and drill the other one. And I'll switch to the smaller drill bit for the holes that go all the way through the shelf. And the holes will be covered by the strip of trim on the front, so you're not going to see any of this when we're finished. I'll use a little wood putty to clean up any cracks or imperfections. Then I'll quickly take off any sharp edges. Then I'll go ahead and hand sand the pieces with 150 and then 400. Sometimes I'll hot glue a project onto a piece of scrap so that it's elevated and I've got better access while I'm hand painting it. I'm just going to cut around the edges before I snap it off so I don't tear the paint. But when you want a project to have an ultra smooth finish, it's better to use Lacquer spray paint. I'll screw the shelf into the wall. It should hit the studs on either side. I've drawn a line at the bottom so I know where to put the trim strip on the front. It's just going to be attached with hot glue, so I'll go ahead and run a bead across the front of the shelf. Now I'll quickly add the trim strip before the hot glue cools off. And make sure it's lined up evenly. And there you are. A nice simple little record shelf. If you ever need to take the shelves down in the future, you just snap that trim piece off the front. Then you can access the screws. And that's the basic record shelf project. Now all that's left to do is just take a look at it. Thanks for joining me on the build today. Hope you learned something to help you out with your next project, or maybe you do something differently. Either way, please leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and I'll see you on the next build.